In Valorant, there are over 25 different agents to choose from, but if you are a beginner or stuck in lower ranks, it can be tough to figure out which agents you should play. That's why I made this tier list. Let's start with Astra, and this will apply to all agents. There are two metrics that matter. The first one is how easy or hard is an agent to play, and the second metric is how easy or hard it is to master that agent. And because this is for Iron players or players who are new or in lower ranks, it doesn't matter how hard or easy they are to master, but instead how easy or hard it is to immediately get value from them as someone who's new to playing that agent. With that out of the way, Astra is a controller, she has great smokes, but for someone who wants to play her, I tried her out. It's really hard to get into an astral form, place down your stars, and then activate them once you are outside of your astral form. There's just so much you need to do to be able to put down a single smoke compared to any other agent, for example like Brimstone, is that just Astra doesn't feel that powerful. And I tried to play her in Iron and she feels very weak because she's pretty hard to use immediately as someone who's new to that agent. And even though on paper her abilities are okay, but overall I feel like Astra is an agent everyone should stay away, especially if you are in lower ranks. That's why she goes into the D tier. Next we have Breach. All of his abilities just seem so useful. You have your ability that deals damage through walls, you have your flash, which is so hard to flash yourself. Basically all of his abilities can go through walls, so you don't need to expose yourself to get shot at, and his ultimate is just so much fun. I feel like Breach is an incredible agent, so I feel like Breach in Iron is just S tier. Next we have Brimstone, and he's also a controller same as Astra, but his smokes are so incredibly easy. He has the longest smokes in the entire game. You can place 3 smokes at the same time at the beginning of the round, so you can immediately start attacking with your team if you 5-stack. His melee is so devastating, so powerful, so much damage it deals. His ultimate just orbital strike. For beginners, a lot of people underrate him, but he is, I will put him into S tier. He is even better than Breach. He's the best, or at least one of the best, smoke agents that you can play in Iron. He's so awesome and so fun. Chamber is basically a weapon agent. He has his headhunter and his ultimate, and in Iron most players have terrible aim. Everyone has pretty bad aim, so using his abilities is pretty tough. Like, he has a good teleport, which he can place down, so that's really good, but overall he just doesn't feel so good. I don't want to put him into D tier like Astra, because if you have good aim you can be really good at him, but I will put him into C tier. I would stay away from him because most players have bad aim in Iron, or beginners or lower ranks, so I would stay away from him. In higher ranks, if you have awesome aim, he can be an absolute beast, but in Iron he is an agent I would stay away from. Next we have Clove, and Clove in the higher ranks is the most picked agent and is the controller that everyone should play. But if I compare it to someone like Brimstone, I would much rather have a Brimstone on my team as a Iron player than Clove. Even though she has an awesome ultimate which recovers her from dying, I feel she is good, but I would put her into A tier. Next we have Cypher, and Cypher is arguably the best sentinel in higher ranks, but even in lower his kit is pretty easy to use. And this might be a bit biased, but I feel like he is really fun as a sentinel. He has his tripwires, cages, his scam for information. He's one of the best information gathering agents in the entire game, and he can hold flanks easily with his tripwires and enemy lurking. So I feel he's S tier. Like, if you want to play sentinels, not like Chamber, because Chamber isn't really a sentinel, he's more like a duelist slash sentinel. I feel Cypher will give you that perfect experience, especially for players in lower ranks, to master being a sentinel and anchor on a side, and also learn how to lurk. He's an awesome pick and I can highly recommend him. Next we have Deadlock, and Deadlock feels a bit weird because she has an awesome ability, signature ability, which throws down a wall and it's so hard to get through it. You can shoot through it, so enemies are not safe if they want to destroy it. But that's kind of all she has. She also has a great ultimate, but her two other abilities like the Gravnet and the sensors that activate when someone walks or basically runs by or makes sound, they aren't the best. Because if I compare it to something like Cypher tripwires, they will activate always, even if you basically crouch or are silent, they will still activate. But Deadlock, you can pass them, so she cannot really hold flanks and enemy lurkers. So she is on one side a good agent, and on the other her abilities feel underwhelming. And I feel she's like that perfect middle agent for Iron players, because she gives value, but she's not overpowered. So she is literally a B tier, an average agent. She is an agent I will not recommend, but at the same time I don't think it's a bad agent. Next we have Fade, and Fade has the same problem with Deadlock. Or not problem, but she feels okay. She has her brawlers, which can show where enemies are, because they automatically track. They don't deal damage. Then you have your ability that you throw it and enemies cannot move outside of the ring if they are stuck inside it. Her E ability, which can reveal enemies, is really good. And her ultimate feels okay, like enemies cannot hear you. It just feels underwhelming. That's why I think she's like Deadlock B tier. I still think Deadlock is a bit better than Fade. But again, she's not the bad agent, but also not the best agent. Next we have Gekko, and Gekko is really good. Like his Dizzy, the blue thing, you throw it up and it automatically shoots. You don't need to do anything manually, very easy to use. The same thing with his yellow guy, Wingman. You can throw him down, he claps his hands when he sees an enemy, and you can give him a spike, he can plant the spike, which is really unique, or defuse the spike. So he has a really unique set of abilities, and you can also recover those abilities, so you can use them twice each ability in a game. And that's so much more powerful because you can use it twice, which is something no other agent can really do. So I feel like Gekko is definitely A tier, but I don't know if he's S tier. I feel like he is better than Clove. You know what, I will give him S tier. He is one of the better agents, like definitely as an initiator, because he also gathers information with his Dizzy, because you can throw it up and if nothing gets, like it doesn't shoot at anyone, you know no one is there. So he is really good. And the same thing, his ultimate, you can recover it, so you can have 2 ultimates in one round, which is crazy. But we cannot say the same thing with Harbor. Has been the least played agent in the entire game. And I played him a lot in recent days, because I want to know like why. Because on paper his abilities are good. You can use your walls that move, you can use your orb that you need to shoot through before you can shoot. You need to like take down the shield that's around it. His E ability, like the signature ability, is also good. It makes a long wall, something like Viper. His ultimate is kind of okay, not the best, but he feels really, really weak. I don't want to say he's as bad as Astra in Iron. He is an agent I wouldn't recommend, and I think he could be better than Chamber because most players have terrible aim. ISO is our first duelist. He has the wall that you cannot shoot through. Then he can activate and basically use aim labs to shoot the orbs when he activates his ability. He can weaken enemies with his ability, and his ultimate is basically like Mordekaiser from League of Legends, which is a pretty cool ability. But I don't think he is the best or easiest agent to pick in Iron, and that's why I feel like I'm giving him A tier. Jett has kind of the similar problem, like her abilities are good, dashes, smoke, her ultimate, and she's really self-sufficient, but in Iron, you won't be able to do many combos with her. Maybe you will activate your dash while you are in air with your Q ability, but overall she just is awesome in higher ranks, but in Iron, I won't say she's the best. I still feel like she can be top A tier, but she really is dependent on her movement abilities and especially her aim with her ultimate. But she can bring a lot of value, especially as a entry duelist, Next we have KO, and I'm willing to say on 100% that KO's signature ability, his knife, is the strongest ability in Iron you can possibly have. It's like a Sova dart, but it goes through walls and it also deactivates abilities of all enemies within it, and you know how many enemies you deactivated abilities with it. The information that it gathers is so incredible, and you can use it multiple times in a single round. So I feel he's S tier. Next we have Killjoy. Killjoy and Cypher are the two best agents to have on defense because it's really hard to get through them. She has her turret which shoots, her nano swarms, then put down her, I forgot the name of the ability, which basically when an enemy goes through it, it activates and it makes them vulnerable, they take a lot more damage. So she's really good, especially on defense. I put her normally into S tier if Tejo wasn't an agent, but I feel like she can be really good and she's a solid pick. Her ultimate can feel a bit underwhelming when they destroy it, especially where we have Tejo meta, but overall she's really awesome. Next we have Neon, and you would be surprised by how overpowered her signature ability, the ability that makes her fast, is overpowered in Iron. How I said, everyone has bad aim, especially that's why Chamber is C tier. But now you have Neon, which is a lot faster, and she can also slide. And that's so overpowered, even if you are a beginner. Just running into a site, use your flames to put walls up from left and right. That's so overpowered, and enemies just don't know where you are. So Neon, even though she was nerfed, is still so overpowered, especially if you want to play entry duelists and learn how to play them. Neon is like the must pick. I feel like Neon is S tier. Next we have Omen, and Omen is very similar to Clove. Both of them have, like, it's pretty tough to explain it, but when I play Clove and when I play Omen, they feel very, very similar. Because both of them have two smokes, they are self-sufficient, and Omen has an ultimate which allows him to teleport anywhere, pick up the spike and go to the side he is at, so that's good. But overall, like, I don't know why I compare him to Clove, but he is a bit worse in Iron than Clove. I would much rather have an agent that can self-revive than teleport anywhere on the map. Clove is a bit better as a controller agent compared to him. Next we have Phoenix. He has flashes that curve behind walls, which is overpowered in Iron. He has his wall which heals him and damages enemies. The same thing about the fire pit on, I don't know the name again of the ability, that he throws down, it heals him and damages enemies. And his ultimate is very cheap and basically grants him an additional life. That's so overpowered. He's definitely S tier. And I feel like even above Neon and above Brimstone, because he's so self-sufficient, especially in Iron, I can highly recommend you to play him if you want to have a duelist on your team and you want to have Phoenix. Phoenix is awesome. Next we have Raze. She is a bit better than Jett in Iron, but you need to know how to use your basically jumping ability. She has the robot that deals damage, she has a nade which is overpowered, like the nade in Iron that kills always. Like players, when they see a nade, they are looking at it and they are like, no, where should I run? And instead of running, they are thinking where they should run, so they always die to it. And her ultimate is just a rocket. Like, she is a bit better than Jett, but still, to be able to use her jumps and get easily to the side, you need a lot of practice, especially in Iron. That's why I feel she's A tier. Next we have Reyna, and Reyna is the most played agent in the entire game since her release, basically since launch of Valorant. She has been the go-to agent because she is self-sufficient. She has the eye that blinds enemies, it can go through wall. Her healing ability is really strong. The fact that she can disappear and her ultimate buffing her abilities, she's really good alone. I will put her into S tier, but I don't think that she's better than Neon or Phoenix in Iron. Next we have Sage, and Sage is really good with her wall. She can stop a push very easily, the same thing like Deadlock. She can heal, so Sage is really good for players because that's something a lot of people don't talk about, and there are players who just aren't the best at first-person shooters. if you're someone who loves to support your team, you aren't the person who would want to get the most amount of kills or make the most flashy plays, she is awesome. Like, I'm putting her above Reyna, even though she's just more of a supporting agent in Iron. Next we have Skye. Skye got some nerfs in the past couple of years, and I don't see her that often. You have your ultimate that seeks out enemies. Unfortunately, it doesn't seek every enemy, it sends just 3, not 5 like Cypher. She has her dog, which is kind of okay, but she just isn't that powerful, and I feel like I'm putting her into the B tier. She is not bad at all, but there are better options. Next we have Sova, and Sova has an incredible dart ability, we all know that. His ultimate is really fun to use, especially if you get kills with it. He has a drone which costs 400, that's a lot. Last time I played it was 350. He just doesn't feel like the most overpowered agent. KO is literally a better Sova in Iron. I'm reminding everyone, in Iron, not in higher ranks. So the fact that KO can get through walls while Sova cannot, and you need to have some lineups, he is pretty tough. I feel like he is in a position where I would still put him above Fade and Skye, but there are just better picks in Iron. Now we have the newest agent, Tejo, and this is before he gets nerfed. Like, we don't know if he will get nerfed or anything, but he is so good. He has the invisible drone, basically like Sova, which deactivates abilities if he spots enemies like KO. Then he has the missiles that are very, very easy to use. And his ultimate is basically a Brimstone. It's like if you combine the best of KO, Brimstone and Sova into one agent. And that's why he's S tier, and I feel like he's really, really good. He's the best initiator to play in Iron. Next we have Viper, and Viper got nerfed, and since then no one really plays her. She has a good wall, something like Harbor, but better. Her ultimate is pretty fun, but overall as a controller, I don't know, it just feels weak. Even in Iron she feels like there are some maps you will always pick her on, you know, Icebox, Peril, or some people Peril in Iron, but she just doesn't feel like the best controller. I would stay away from her. Definitely still better than Harbor. I think I will keep her C tier because she feels really weak. Next we have Vyse, which is the basically newest Sentinel, and I played a couple of games with her, and her wall is really strong. Because in Iron, players will never bait the wall, they don't know how to bait it, and they are very scared to bait it. So you basically use it, so it activates, you activate your thorns, and you kill an enemy, and you stop a 5-man push, which is very, very common in Iron. So she's really good at defending, and what is really weird is that on attack, she is better than Cypher. Which is because she has the flash, which can go through walls, the same thing as Breach. So she's good, like she's really good. She's near Cypher. I would still put Cypher a bit higher. She is an agent that you should pick if you want a Sentinel that's a bit more aggressive. You know, a Sentinel that's a hybrid between kind of a initiator and Sentinel. Next we have Yoru, and he's really hard to master, but that's not what we are looking at. What I'm looking at is that he has the most overpowered ability against Iron players, and that is his clone. You send out his clone and players always shoot it, and then they are scared. Oh no, is that really Yoru or not? And you can play mind games. That's what I love. He's my favorite duelist that I play, and yeah, he can play mind games so easily. His teleport is really good if you want to get from one side of the map to the other side. If you want an agent that maybe you want to use even in higher ranks and you are willing to put the time into it, but also as a complete beginner to Yoru, you will have so much fun, and I'm definitely putting him into S tier. These agents are so much fun, they will learn you how to play the game well, and you will have so much fun. If you enjoyed this video, I highly recommend you to watch this video next. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned my friends.